everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Judy Howard is Making It Happen. This episode is called Daydream or Prayer. Pick one. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. That was a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. And if prayer doesn't work for you, why don't you try daydreaming? When was the last time you remember daydreaming? Can you remember when you dared to ask, what if? What if? The other day, to meet my low bar of exercise that I had set for myself, I was walking on an easy path through the park. And approaching me from the opposite direction was a group of boys. And as they passed me by, I said hi. And to my surprise, one of them meowed at me. And the other boys just said hello. And I thought to myself, kids today, what is wrong with them? He's too old to be acting out. And then, just like that, a long ago memory popped into my head. And I sheepishly admonished myself. I don't know the root of that boy's behavior in the park, but I just recalled how 7 decades ago, when I was about his age, I spent most of my waking hours neighing and whinnying like a wild horse. Oh my gosh, everything in my being wanted to be a horse. My phase lasted long enough that my mother began complaining because I was wearing my jeans, the knees on my jeans thin, and they were fraying because I was galloping around on my hands and knees. I was galloping up and down the hallway as if I was exploring an adventurous path and I would gallop into the kitchen then, and I'd drink cool, clear water from a waterfall, which was the kitchen faucet. And then I would turn around and race back down the hallway, through the house, and then back into the kitchen, over and over, again and again. If anyone had asked me to explain my behavior, I don't think I could have. Thank goodness my parents were patient with me and did not scold me, because if they had insisted I stop, looking back, I don't know. I think something inside of me would have died if I'd had to stop doing that. So what was the root of my strange behavior anyway? Although it did not appear to be so, I was daydreaming. Today, I understand the impelling force that drove my obsessive behavior. I was lost in a dream world created by Walter Farley, the best-selling author of a children's book called The Black Stallion. Farley's words had painted this inspiring picture in my mind of a wild horse he called the Black. The wild stallion, the picture he painted was this wild stallion poising on a high ridge as he was surveying the rolling landscape that was spread out before him. And he acted as if he owned it. And his body glistened like polished onyx, and his feathery mane flowed over his muscular neck like a cape, and while his tail was gently waving in the wind. Everything about that black made me want to be him. His challenging stance, his head nodding proudly, exhibited a strength and a courage that stirred something deep inside me. And when he ran, his hooves pounded the earth like war drums, and I could feel their thunderous power deep in my chest as he galloped across open fields like an eagle soaring on an air current. All I wanted to be was that black stallion. Every Christmas, I asked Santa for a horse. And every year on my birthday, before I blew my candles out, I wished for a powerful stallion like the black. My family was not the kind of people who prayed, so asking God did not occur to me. Instead, every idle moment was occupied, which wasn't occupied with homework or chores that my parents expected of me. My mind was left to wander and imagine that one day maybe I could be like the black. And because back then life was luxuriously slower, there was no TV, no cell phones. I was blessed with a lot of free time. But as I grew older, new adventures called to me. To my parents' relief, I am sure, my crawling around on all fours became an inconvenience for me. And anyway, my parents had their own dreams of how I should find freedom and independence. They didn't think owning a horse was the answer to that. My mother, being of a progressive type, decided she was going to teach me how to make money. So I put aside my dreams of owning a horse. But rest assured, if we have had the luxury of creating delicious dreams, even if we turn down a different path that seems to lead us in an entirely different direction, our dreams never die. They are like prayers. They take shelter into some cave of our soul, I believe, where they remain like a sleeping bear, and they wait. How about you? Do you have a sleeping bear inside of you? Has my story poked him, stirred him awake? Have I reminded you of the wonder and the excitement you feel when dreaming about an impossible dream? Or maybe you just dismiss them as just dreams. But are they just dreams? Maybe you admit that dreams do come true, but only for some, and certainly not for you. You argue that your dream is entirely out of your budget, or you're not smart enough. Or maybe you think, just maybe, one day, far in the future, your dream will come true. Or maybe you think you're too old, or people will say you're silly. So in the end, you think, what's the use? Have we lost our ability to daydream? And if we are the praying type, have we decided even God thinks we are silly to dream? We have been told, be practical. Daydreaming is a waste of time, and it distracts us from more important responsibilities. The fact is, we have been told these things so often and for so long, we have come to believe that it is true. But they are wrong. Science is proving that daydreaming, like prayer, nurtures our hearts and our souls. Daydreaming allows us to get in touch with who we are and what we desire to be, our authentic selves. Daydreaming, like prayer, allows us to go quiet, to listen to that small voice, which I believe is our soul, encouraging us to entertain the idea that maybe, just maybe, the impossible is possible. As you listen to me, doesn't just entertaining the idea of daydreaming make you wonder? Moments of awe and wonder are such delightful experiences, don't you think? They are free, you know. You can't buy them. And when we let go of the noise around us and let the possibility just tickle us, our lives are enriched. Awe and wonder last forever. They are like love. You can call up the feeling anytime. Imagine the last sunset you witnessed, or imagine your first love. No matter how long ago they occurred, that same joy floods into your veins just like it did the very first time you felt it. While my dream of owning a horse slept within me, I turned 15 and had worked and saved enough money to buy a horse and to pay its stable fees. But still, my parents refused to let me buy a horse. And then, as if maybe God intervened, the stable came up with the idea that they would rent a horse to me and I could take it home with me for the summer. And hallelujah, my parents agreed. The horse I rented was a Palomino, and his name was Trigger, like the TV cowboy's Roy Rogers horse. My dream had come true, at least for the summer. I became as obsessed with Trigger as I had been with the Black Stallion, who had only existed between the pages of a book in my head. But now, I could spend every spare dime and every spare moment riding horseback across open fields and down abandoned dirt roads, feeling as free as the wind. Trigger was my Black Stallion. And when people ask me, what's your best childhood memory? You can bet I tell them that it was every moment that summer that I spent with Trigger. Because I was living a dream I thought would never come true. Today I think about that boy who meowed at me as he passed me in the park that day. Again, I scolded myself for scoffing at his behavior when I thought about kids today. I'll bet the boy's heart had been stirred by a heroic cat character, like the Black Stallion had done to me. Perhaps the boy had identified with one of the big cats in The Lion King. Or maybe his hero was Winnie the Pooh's friend, Tigger. I hope so, because boys need to dream. Dreaming is not a silly notion. Our dreams carry us on a cloud of hope as we go through life, even if they are a sleeping bear for a while. At the age of 64, for me, an amazing thing happened. I enrolled in a creative writing course, only for fun, but instead I made an amazing discovery. Writing was a way of daydreaming on paper. I found out I had a lot to say, and as a result of that class, I published my first book, and then my second book. And by my third book, and because I'd gained more and more confidence with each book, I made a bold decision. I sold everything I owned except what would fit in my 24-foot motorhome. I rented my house out, and I didn't look back. I began traveling and could write my books anywhere. And here's what happened to me. Just like I had become lost between the pages of the Black Stallion stories when I was young, now, not only did I get lost in the passion of my new lifestyle as an author, but also the thrill of traveling consumed me. And as I rolled down the open road in my motorhome with my cat for company acting as my muse, I realized I had just reinvented my childhood dream. Once again, I was free. I was visiting beautiful places, meeting amazing people, and all the while doing book signings and presenting writing seminars to aspiring writers. Wow, right? My motorhome had become my black stallion all over again. My life was just me, my cat, and the open road. And just like the black, I was racing across this beautiful countryside, chasing dreams for my stories. People began cheering me on. They were telling me I was everything from a firecracker to an inspiration. And then, because of their encouragement, I began to dream yet another possibility. Even though becoming an author, my God, was more than I could have ever imagined, I began to entertain an even crazier impossibility. Maybe I should take my career to the next level so that I might inspire even more people than just the writers in my seminars. Maybe I could become a motivational speaker. Who knows? Maybe even be a TED Talk speaker. Once more, I find myself entertaining a crazy idea like I had done when I imagined being the Black Stallion. Only instead of posing high on a ridge, I was on a stage, breathing in the power of the moment. And just like the black, I wanted to stand up for or against whatever came my way. Science is backing up the ideas that daydreaming, like praying, is vital to a satisfying life. They are proving daydreams, like prayers, are the seeds of our future. They are the path to becoming our authentic selves. And when we nourish and coax our ideas out of the private corners of our hearts, we are realizing that these daydreams, like prayers, produce a flavor in our lives, like strong values, courage, freedom, and moral character. And these are all a delicious recipe that guarantees happiness and longevity. So as I speak to you today, I am on the backstretch of my life, soon to turn 80. And although I have never been the praying type, I have never given up on daydreaming. Today, I believe no matter which choice you make, daydream or prayer, the results are the same. Prayers or daydreams, they both come from the heart and lead you to your authentic self and God's intention for you. What about you? Are you ready to invite the wonder and awe of daydreaming into your life? Come on, let's make it happen. If you don't want to choose prayer, choose daydreaming. No worries. Just like a prayer is answered, so will be your impossible daydream. It did for me. I'm Judy Howard, and I am making it happen. And before you go, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for listening. And to quote the famous podcaster Mel Robbins, I want you to know that I appreciate you. And if no one has told you today, I love you. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.